Just turn it on, turn it on, turn it on.
Welcome back to Conversations with Cyrus Webb, where we give you a little food for thought to be able to chew on throughout the day and also share with those that you meet. Yesterday on our program, we spoke with Linda Hunter, the author of the book, An Unspeakable Secret. Today we're joined not only by Linda, but also her husband, Steve, who's here to talk to us not only about Linda's journey, the abuse, how he found out, and what he wants all of us to know about the power of faith. Steve, thank you so much for being on us.
Thank you.
You know, Steve, actually we get to hear from you first in the book. You wrote the foreword to the book, and it begins with the phone call that we got from Linda's therapist. I'm telling you that she was concerned. Talk to us about that phone call and how it made you feel to find out not only about what was going on, but also about where the therapist thought that she was at that point, which was suicidal.
I was at work. My boss came out to me and said, you had a phone call. And you need to take it. So I went inside, and the lady on the other end of the line said, my name is Mary, and I'm a therapist. I've been seeing your wife. Okay, you know, it took me by surprise. And she goes, I don't know who to call, either you or the police, because I think she's suicidal. And so, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to check it out. So I sped back home, and I walk into our house. All the lights are off. Couldn't find Linda. I walk into our bedroom. The drapes are closed. The lights are off. And she's sitting on the floor with her head down. I walk over to her and say, what's wrong? And she just kind of said nothing, you know, like, everything's okay. I said, okay. And I said, I had a phone call from the therapist. So like, she's busted now. She had been seeing her for months, and I didn't know that. And, you know, it was okay. And she started telling me about what was kind of going on and about the abuse. And for some, I wouldn't say strange or odd, but I just knew who the abuser was. I said, it was your dad, wasn't it? And she just looked at me. Just shook her head, yeah. And I'm like, man. And I said, you know, we're going to get through this. I'm trying to say, be nice and be encouraging to her, because she just looked so sad. And it was like a little girl sitting there at the time.
When you heard him say that we're going to get through this, I'm sure you had already told yourself that was not going to be your response. Because yesterday you shared with us that you thought everyone would want to be away from you. You thought that Jeremy would quit. You thought that everyone would be away. When he told you that, when he said to you, we are going to get through this, how did that make you feel?
You're right, I didn't believe him. Because I knew he didn't know what was going on with me inside. And I already decided I was going to make him. I already had decided I was going to commit suicide. I already knew that, because it was too much. And but he said, we'll make it through it. I guess I'm him. You know, no, I didn't believe that. Not because he lies to me, but because he didn't know the whole story. And I figured when he found out the whole story, it would be a different story altogether.
Did you feel, Linda, at that point that you were unworthy of his love?
Oh yeah, I did. I knew that it goes back to when he finds out the whole story. When he really finds out what I'm like. That he's so much more than that. And he needs to find somebody that's worth. That's at his level, not me. So I did not want to burden him by staying with me. That's right.
You know, Steve, I wanted you, and I asked you the same question that I asked Linda when I first came to you guys with that evening, our first guest for the show, and that was about the trust. You trust me. And the reason I wanted you to be a part of this conversation is because I think as men, you know, you try to be the protector. You try to be that person, whether it's your girlfriend or, you know, even just your family. You want to be that person that makes everything all right. This wasn't something that was just as easy to make all right. Did you feel helpless? Did you feel as though, you know, did you have what you needed to be able to make sure that she had what she needed?
It's a good question. Sure, I think when she started the therapy, we'd been married 10 years, and I was, you know, I am a protector. I'm a man of family, and I did all the care. And then, even, you know, I didn't know about everything about the abuse and what it went on. I still wanted to help, but I knew that I couldn't do it. She's the one that had to go to therapy, even though I would say, well, I'm going to take you to therapy. You're going to go. When she said I didn't want to go, I enforced it that way, but still I couldn't make her go through the actual, doing all the memories and working through them. There's nothing I could do on stuff, you know, and I felt that way. But I really couldn't let her know quite how I felt about that, because she's going through her own private head, as I said before.
You know, I think when I read your letter, when I read the forward, and then of course, as I mentioned, she gets to do my job later on in the book, she interviews you about your thoughts about it. I want to talk about the getting through part, because it's easy to say, I think, we're going to get through this. But then, as she says, we didn't know the whole story at that point. When you learned that not only had she been abused, but that she had developed the authors, that the authors had come to help her. Talk to us about that aspect of it, because it's interesting. You and I had not talked about this, and it's interesting you said it was like a little girl sitting there in the room. Talk to us about that part of the journey and that part of the truth.
Well, like Linda had said earlier, it was all these puzzle pieces all came together. And, oh, that's why you acted that way, or why you said this, or you did this. And it wasn't Linda that I knew. And I actually got to the point where I could tell when she would switch and there would be an altar, a different altar there. I knew them very well. I knew their names. Instead of having a wife and two sons, I had two sons, a little girl, or another little girl, or another little girl, and I was taking care of kids. And I know I don't know how many times I had to tell her that we're going to get through this. I'm going to stick by you. That's what our marriage vow said, from, for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness, through health, and until death us do part. And I don't know how many times I repeated that. We would be rich. It wasn't easy, because she got to the point where she could not do anything. She was really having a hard time. And I was in school, working and taking care of her and the boys. They were in school. But I had some support from other friends and stuff that helped me. And faith was a lot, because we were in seminary. And it was a lot of prayers and core people help us tremendously.
You know, I think, you mentioned faith, we're going to get a little bit more into that. But I think when it comes to the family, you know, I tell my friends and company, tell us of that aspect of people's lives, and when you know, you have someone who looks to you to be that person, the person who can lean on, who can call to. But, you know, there had to be also someone there for you. Can you at least tell us now how you felt as though you mentioned the marriage vows and what that meant for Linda? Talk to us about how your relationship with God changed at that point.
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the recent saying. Well, God carried me quite a bit. Going to school, that was tough because it demanded a lot of time of studying and reading and doing all kinds of paperwork. So there was that demand there. But, you know, God was all through this, helping and carrying all of us the whole time. You know, trying to be active in church and preaching and stuff like that. You know, God helped me tremendously through this. I mean, we wouldn't have got through it without Him. But looking back, He put it all together to have the right people at the right place to help us. Oh, it was just amazing. Moving down from Ohio to Mississippi. Finding the right therapist for Glenda. That was a miracle. Because a lot of people don't believe in MPD. And so that, there's just so many instances where God had the right people. We had a family that took care of the boys, which is like a second family to us, that helped us through this time too.
Again, you're watching Conversations with Cyrus Webb. I'm joined today by author Linda Hunter and her husband Steve. We've been talking to her not only about her book, An Unspeakable Secret, but also his part along her journey, what it's been like for him, as she's been able to move forward, to heal, and to thrive. Stay with us. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're back with Conversations with Cyrus Webb, and I'm joined by Linda Hunter and her husband, Stephen Hunter. Linda is the author of 3 books for adults, but her first one is An Unspeakable Secret. Yesterday, we talked a little bit with her about the book, what it was like for her to share her story. Today, we're joined by her husband, Steve, to talk about his role in this. Steve, we already talked about what it was like for you when you got the phone call, when you found out. We talked about faith a little bit in the previous segment, and I want to go back to that because I think there was a lot when you talked about being the protector, being that person. Talk to us about one of the most challenging parts of the book, and that is when Glenda and her interviewing of you. You all talked about the decision you made for her to be admitted to the hospital.
That was truly one of the lowest points in my life, period. Our therapist had told us that she would have to be committed. And so I had to do all the legal stuff, going downtown and saying that, declared that, that she was kind of on the crazy side. And then when we were waiting for a bed to open at the hospital, finally came open after a while, and I took her to the hospital, and they took her away. Didn't really get to say goodbye to her. I mean, they just took her away, and that was it. And so I went home, and I felt like the lowest person in the world because I had to do that to my wife. And she was suicidal, and there was no other choice for us to do. I had removed all the knives, anything sharp, scissors, everything, so she couldn't hurt herself. And when I'm home alone, got suicidal. I thought, well, how good am I? Because I had to do this in my life. I love her. But I had 2 kids to take care of, and so I kind of sucked it up a little bit. But God, He carried me again through that time, for sure.
Linda, I know that could not have been an easy thing for you either, which we were able to read about in Unspeakable Secret. Did you see it for what it was, for an act of love? That was an example of that?
No, I did not. I was angry. I was angry at him. I was angry at her. I was angry at the world in there. If you do not know what it's like when I had to get my wedding band on, I had never taken it off. They took me away. I mean, we're not talking St. Helens, we're talking Whitfield. Okay, they took me away. They didn't let me say goodbye to him. I thought, he left and didn't say goodbye because I was like, people. No one was talking to me. Yeah, they treated me like I was crazy. I was there for I told her crazy, okay? But they was treating me like I couldn't comprehend anything, which is not true. But they wasn't explaining anything. They was just doing all this stuff that they routinely do probably to everybody that comes and goes, okay? I understand that now. But I was very angry. But did he have a choice? He did not. We had no insurance. He couldn't leave me because it was really bad. I was very suicidal. So, did he do the right thing? Yeah. Am I thankful he did now? Am I angry at him? No, not anymore. I gotta work.
Well, this brings up an important thing, and you and I talked about the sprinkling through the grace, and I can share that with the viewers. Because there's a part of the book, Linda, that you write, where, I think people think of this as an illness. Because that's how we think about things as illnesses. That if something's wrong with you, then you go and someone fixes it, or you take a pill and it's fixed, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. You talk about in the book that there was a point when you thought that you were, quote unquote, cured of the MPD, of the multiple personality disorder. And then you realized that that was not the case. Talk to us about that. First of all, what there being, a cure meant for you, and when you realized that was not the case, how you were able to move forward. Because I think that's important for anybody who goes through any type of a challenge or setback. If they have a stumble, if they have something that happens to them, not to feel as though that means they failed at their ability.
With multiple personality disorder, those alters can integrate. That means they join with the host and they become one. So you no longer disassociate. So in the book, I think I refer to 7 alters. I can't quite remember, but I think it's 7. And after writing the book, I thought I had integrated everybody. When I came out of Whitfield, those altars integrated. They had integrated. Okay, so I thought, finally this is over. A few months after, I thought, finally this is over. I knew it wasn't. I didn't tell anybody for a while, but I went right in and began to have some problems, and I knew what it was this time. I knew what it was. So, with this, with my process, everybody's is kind of different, but with my process, my authors allow themselves to be known in groups, kind of. And I think that was so that we could handle it and get a grip for the next group. I was saying, okay, you handle that, and so we can take a break. Just like you take a break at the show, we were taking breaks. And so, but when I got ready, when I had to face the rest of the next set, then that was very hard to pick up that phone and call my therapist and say, I need to come to you. Because she also thought I was totally integrated. Because there was no signs otherwise at that point. And so when I did pick up the phone and start going to see her, it was when I was days trying to pick up that phone. Because I felt like a total failure all over again. You know, I understand when you fall like you are supposed to dust yourself off your back up. That's not easy. That is not easy. But that is what needs to be done, you know, if you want to move on. And I finally said, okay, I can't stay like this, and I know I'm not. So I picked up the phone and I called her and said, okay, I need to come see you. And so when I did, she said, oh, okay, we'll deal with this. So when I did see, I think I went back to her again without telling him. I was good about doing that. I think I started back to see her and didn't tell him for a few sessions, and then I finally and said, you know, I'm going back to seeing her again. And he goes, okay, we will make it through this. So every time there has been a break or a respite, then it didn't happen overnight. The healing didn't happen overnight. But you know what? The abuse didn't happen overnight. Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we have this, even with an illness, you have this long illness and you expect to heal by popping 2 pills the doctor gives you that day and walk into his office. And you pop the 2 pills and the next morning you're not better. Why not? I took my medicine. Well, you know, same with this. You know, you go through this journey and you stumble and you say, okay, I'm having a hard time. And it didn't happen overnight. The abuse didn't happen overnight. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and it is not easy. I want people to know that, you know, it might sound easy as we're sitting here, but it's not easy. But it's doable. It's doable. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear. And I know, and it's doable. You can overcome mental victim.
Again, you are watching Conversations with Cyrus Webb. We are going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to have our final moments with Linda and Steve, and also let you all know how you can get her very powerful book, An Unspeakable Truth. We'll be back. Again, you're watching Conversations with Cyrus Webb. I'm joined by Linda Hunter and also Steve Hunter. We've been discussing their journey and also the book, An Unspeakable Secret. We'll be back with our final moments right after this.
Have you ever lost a loved one? Had to cope with handling their affairs? Found yourself on a fact-finding mission not knowing where to begin? Help your family by securing your important information in a safe, convenient, internet-based lockbox. Provide safe storage for bereavement details, policies and documents, and gives clear direction if unable to speak for yourself. Visit www.virtuallastwishes.com or call 1-877-389-0099.
Is your hope fading fast? Do you feel like it is gone? Failing hope can be awakened, and you have the key. In Linda C. Newberry's book, Say What You Say Is Your Future, she outlines not only the whys of biblical confession, but she gives you a modern-day affirmation that changed her life, and with use will change yours too. Available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com and on her website at www.lindacnewberry.com.
With Linda Hunter and her husband Steve. We've been discussing over the past 2 days Linda's book, An Unspeakable Secret. Also, we've been talking with Steve about his part of the journey, what it's been like for him. You know, the issue of faith came up a lot, I think, in this conversation, but also, I think the importance of being able to move forward. And Linda, you and I, we began the conversation yesterday by saying that what has happened to us does not have to define who we are. Is that what you hope individuals watching this, that they're able to learn about themselves and where they are, whatever they're going through, they don't have to be defined by it?
Yes, that's what I want everybody to know, because you can stay in that self-pity mode, you can stay in that hurt mode, you can stay in that situation if you choose to, but you don't need to. You can move beyond there. You can get better. You can seek out help if you need to. I did. And there's help out there for everybody. You might need to connect with somebody to help you figure out in what channels to go, but there is help out there, and you can work through whatever situation you have.
Steve, I'll ask you the question of faith. You know, I think individuals of faith, we have things that come up that make us question, that make us feel as though we are sometimes alone. What do you hope by hearing your story and being able to read Linda's book, that people are able to understand about how, regardless of where they're going through, that sometimes when they do see that one set of footprints, that is actually when they're being carried?
I think that's normal to feel that way and to be angry. I mean, there's all kinds of different emotions that go through, you know, your situation. And just remember this, God knows about that already. It's not no surprise to him. And, you know, you're not getting one over on God. So, you know, go with that. You know, get it out of your system. And then you can work at it and work on yourself. And God can work on you and help you through this. So, you know, it's not easy, but like Glenda said, it's doable.
Again, everyone, Glenda Hunter, Steve Hunter. Glenda is the author of the book, An Unspeakable Secret is the title of it. You can find out more information about Glenda by going to her website at www.authorglendaLHunter.com. That's www.authorglendaLHunter.com. Glenda, Steve, thank you all so much for taking the time. We're wishing you all nothing but the best and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cyrus.